Hey guys, so today I will be showing you my Wailord EX deck, which I played in the Pokemon League Challenge at Weekend Warlords in Loughborough. It took first place and we did 5 rounds best of 3. I hope you enjoy this deck profile. So we're going to start off here by playing 4 copies of Wailord EX. And if you don't know how a Wailord deck works, you basically just play loads of healing cards and loads of disruption, and slowly but surely you win the game through decking them out. So we play 4 copies of Wailord because we want him to be our main starter. Like, it doesn't matter what they play, most of the time they won't be able to one-shot this. And then you just constantly heal through max potions, rough seas, and loads of cards like that. And you can judge which other Pokemon to play. So you can go like Giratina, Aegislash, and all that. And we really want this to be our main attacker to start off with, just so then we can judge which other one to play. Next, I play a single copy of Aegislash EX, and I play this just for that Night March matchup. It also works on Giratina Toad matchups as well. So you basically just sit there with Aegislash EX, and they just have to hex every single turn to get around it. And most of the time, they won't be able to loop their hexes unless they play like VS Seekers every single turn, or just play multiple hex, or just play double puzzle like almost every turn. And it's a really good way to keep setting yourself up for like your next Wailord whilst they're trying to get around this Aegislash, and then again you can just use max potions and AZ and Cassius to just completely heal it off, and it's just beautiful. Next we have a single copy of Giratina EX. So I play this card mainly for the Mega Manectric matchup, because what Wailord decks like really lack against is those sort of decks that can constantly get back their energies from their discard piles whilst hitting for quite a fair bit. So with Giratina, it stops them doing that 110 damage, and yeah, they still do get their energies back, but they do no damage. So in effect, that's still good on you. And to get around this, again, they've got to constantly Hex Maniac. They can also Lysandre as well, which I forgot to mention in the Aegislash. But yeah, but then if they Lysandre, they're just mainly going to Lysandre into a Wailord. So it's really no biggie for us. So next up, I play a single copy of Durant from Flashfire. So in the expanded format, there was a supporter called Hugh, and what Hugh did was it made your opponent constantly draw until they had 5 cards in hand, or keep discarding until they have 5 cards in hand, to stop them from having that huge hand size. So then when they finally hit something, they could do that explosive turn to do something. Well, with this copy of Durant, it has an attack called Chip Off. So for a colourless, you keep discarding cards from your hand until they have 4 cards left in hand. So this is kind of the replacement for Hugh in the standard format for this deck. And personally, I really like this because, again, it stops them doing that explosive turn that they can do as soon as they hit the card that they need. So next up, I play a single copy of Dedenne from Furious Fist. So I play this Dedenne purely because of the Yveltals and the Lugia matchups, because of its second attack for 1 colourless energy called Energy Short. This attack does 20 damage times the amount of energy attached to your opponent's active Pokemon. So with Yveltal, they just stack on Dark Energies and DCEs, and eventually they will be able to one-shot your Wailords. But if you get this out, it'll basically hit for all of those energies doubled for the damage, and then on top of that, it's doubled again, since Yveltal and Lugia are both weak to electric. And this stops them from doing, again, that explosive play of KOing a Wailord and taking 2 prizes. And it also puts all their energy in their discard pile, which is good. Next up, I play a single copy of Lucario EX. And I play this just because there's going to be people out there that's going to think, oh, okay, he's not playing any cards which forces me to mill. So I'm just going to play a Bunnelby and just do Rototitter twice every single turn for the game. And this Lucario just simply says nope, because of its first attack, Missile Jab. For 1 fighting energy, it does 30 damage, and it can't be affected by resistance. So basically, since Bunnelby has a 60 HP and a weak to fighting, you just attach an energy to Lucario and just one-shot that Bunnelby and just carry on like you normally are, just sitting with a Wailord, healing, disruption, and deck 'em out. Lastly, for the Pokemon lineup, we play a single copy of Bunnelby. And we play this Bunnelby because at the late-ish game, when they've got about 15 to 10 cards left in deck and they've ran out of energy and they've got no way of retreating, you just put an energy on Bunnelby for his first attack, Burrow. For a colorless energy, discard the top card of your opponent's deck. And since it has the barrage trait where it can attack twice, so you basically discard the top 2 cards of their deck every single turn until they eventually deck out. And this helps out for time, because with Wailord decks, you tend to just play out game 1 and it takes about 30 to 40 minutes, and then you simply just time out on game 2. And with Bunnelby, it helps get that 30 to 40 time limit without going over it. And yeah, that's it for the Pokemon lineup. So to start off with the items, I play 3 copies of Crushing Hammer. So with this, you just basically flip a coin. If heads, you discard any energy on their board. And you mainly want to use this on their bench, since we play like 14 Flare Grunt to hit the active. But at the same time, you can just play this early game and just take off any energy that they have as long as you hit heads, which is the only downside for this card. So yeah. Next up, I play 1 copy of Enhance Hammer. So it's really simple. They place down a special energy, you play this, get rid of it, done dusted. But at the same time, it's an item card, not a supporter, unlike Xerosic. So you can still play this and just play other items and supporters like you normally would, which is really nice for this card. But deck's a bit tight, so just playing the simple one off. Next up, we play 4 copies of Max Potion. So, thank the Lord, Max Potions came back into the standard format through Breakpoint. And this is going to be your main go-to heal for your Wailords. Oh, your Wailord's taken 240 damage, Max Potion, completely heal it. And since there's no no energies on it whatsoever, we don't have to discard any, which is just like a godsend. And again, it's an item, so we can still play supporters on the same turn, which is just absolutely beautiful. Next, we play 4 copies of Puzzler Time, and dear Lord, these are broken. So you basically, they have 2 kind of effects. You play one of them to look at the top 3 cards of your deck and rearrange them wherever you like. Most of the time, you're just going to sit there, look at them, put them back. And we play these so we can play 2 of them. And with these, we can get back 2 of any card from our discard pile. So 2 of like Crushing Hammers, or AZs, or Max Potions, or one or the other. And God, this is just absolutely beautiful for this deck. So lastly, for items, we play 4 copies of VS Seeker. And Jesus Christ, these are good. So you basically play it and just get any supporter from your discard pile and put it into your hand. And with this, you can just get your AZs back, your Cassius back, your Flare Grunts, and oh my god, this is such a good card for this deck. So to start off our supporters, we play an entire playset, 4 copies of AZ. So yeah, this is like totally fair for this deck. So if your Wailord has taken a hefty amount of damage of around 200 odd, you can just play AZ and just pick it up right back into your hand, and then just put another one forward and play that same Wailord back down on your bench, and it is fully healed. And yeah, this is where your opponents kind of get salty. But the only downside to this is that you discard everything attached to it. So the hard charms that are on your Wailords, they come off. But we play Puzzle of Time to get them back, so it's really not a downside for this sort of deck. So next I play 2 copies of Cassius, and what Cassius does is you pick one of your Pokemon and everything attached to it and shuffle it back into your deck. So this works similar to AZ. If your Wailord has taken 200-ish damage, you just play Cassius and shuffle it back into your deck, and life is good. So I know some of your Wailord players out there are just sitting there screaming, why don't you play 4? Well, it's because I felt like I didn't hit enough disruption cards when I played the deck with 4 Cassius in order to like completely play out the game perfectly fine. So I cut 2 Cassius to put in 2 Flagrants at, and at the end of the day, it worked. Next I play a single copy of Hex Maniac. So what this does is you play it down and neither players have any Pokemon abilities until the start of your next go. So since Greninja is now a thing again, it basically shuts down a Greninja deck for an entire turn, which is an absolute godsend. Again, 4 VS Seekers, 4 Puzzle of Time, so you can play this theoretically about 6-7 times a game. And yeah, shutting down a Greninja deck for 6-7 turns, yeah, you've pretty much just won the game right there. Next, I play 2 copies of Lysandre, and this is pretty much, again, like VS Seeker, the norm in almost every deck right now. And I can see why. You just play it down and you choose a Pokemon on their bench and make it their active. So in this sort of deck, you pick a Pokemon that has a retreat cost of like 3 or 4 and just bring it into the active spot and just make your opponent waste resources in trying to get it back out of the active. It's a really good target for Hooper, even though Hooper is a retreat cost at 2, because again, it forces them to play a Floatstone or a DCE. And yeah, this is why we play Lysandre, people. Next up, we play 4 copies of Pokémon Fan Club, and some of you might be sitting there and going, why do you play 4? Well, every single Pokemon in this deck is a basic, and the ability to search out 2 of any Pokemon without playing Ultra Ball, Dive Balls, or any sort of balls is just amazing. And also, if you know what sort of matchup you're looking at, so let's say you're playing Mega Manectric and you can just play a Pokemon Fan Club to grab a Wailord and a Giratina, and it's just 1 card to search for 2, and it is amazing. Next up, we play 2 copies of Skyla. Now, Skyla in this deck is amazing since it searches for any trainer card in our deck and put it into our hand. We play 47 trainers, so yeah, it grabs out whatever we need at the time. But with supporters, we have to play them the turn after, since Skyla is a supporter. But with items and stadiums, you can just get it out and just play them. Like, say they've got their stadium out, you know, just Skyla for a Rough Seas. You need a max potion, Skyla for a max potion. It's just universal and just brilliant. Next, we play 2 copies of Steven, and what Steven does is you search your deck for a supporter card and a basic energy, reveal them and put them into your hand and shuffle your deck afterwards. So this gets you your Flagrants, Xerosics, AZs, Cassius and all that, plus the basic energy that we need for this deck to work. Because our Bunnelbys need energy, our Durants, our Lucarios, Dedennes all need this energy to attack. And what Steven does is allows us to get them for this deck to function. Next, we play an entire playset, 4 copies of Team Flagrant. And what Team Flagrant does is discard an energy attached to your opponent's active Pokemon. So, what we basically do is if they have any energy on their active, just Flagrant, Crushing Hammer, or E-Hammer, or whatever they're playing. And you basically just make them run out of energies, mainly through this. And as I said earlier, this used to be a 2 of in here, but I took out 2 Cassius to put 2 more of these in. And these were an absolute godsend to me. Like, I love them in this deck. Lastly, for supporters, we play 2 Xerosics, and what they do is choose a Pokemon tool or special energy card attached to a Pokemon in play, yours or your opponent's, and discard it. So this basically hits the special energies off their bench, apart from E-Hammer. And this also hits their Spirit Links, their Muscle Bands, their Hard Charms, or Assault Vests, or whatever tool they are using. You just get rid of it. And this slows down Mega Evolution decks by a lot, especially Mega Manectric, where they need their Spirit Links to just carry on doing whatever they're doing, and it's just beautiful. So for our stadium of choice, we are playing an entire playset of Rough Seas. So what this does is, once during each player's turn, that player may heal 30 damage from each of his or her water Pokemon and electric Pokemon. So we basically use this to heal our Wailords by 30 damage every single turn. And I was contemplating of taking one out to put in a Team Aqua's secret base to increase everyone's retreat cost by 1. So it basically means that Lysandre Hooper for a free retreat cost instead of 2, which means they have to play an AZ to pick it back up or a Floatstone on it, and they can't just do DC retreat. But that is something for you to keep in mind. Lastly, for trainers, we play 4 copies of Hard Charm. So what this does is, it's a Pokemon tool, and you preferably want to attach this to your Wailord or the Pokemon you're sticking out up front, and any attacks done to this Pokemon is reduced by 20 after applying weakness and resistance. So this basically keeps your Pokemon alive for that extra turn or 2. And again, you can just play AZ to pick it back up if it's too much damage, and Hard Charm kind of alleviates that. So it gives you an extra turn before you play that, which is an absolute godsend. And finally for the deck, we are playing free Fighting Energy, and we mainly use this for our Lucario, Dedenne, Durant, and Bunnelby. And then we get them out by playing Steven. Yeah, there's really nothing much to say about this at all. And that is the Wailord deck, so if you want to like and subscribe, please do so. And there's a deck list down in the description as well, also with a link to the Facebook page. Goodbye.